Welcome to the EDE channel, where successful entrepreneurs share their insights with aspiring entrepreneurs. You've started a business, you've had a business for a while, and you need advisors. The question comes up, who do you trust? Today we have with us Ron Finklestein, the owner-founder of Acris, the small business success experts based out of Akron, Ohio.
Yes.
Welcome back again.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Ron, as an entrepreneur, most people get into the stage of development either at the beginning or shortly after the founding of the company, where they realize that really they don't have all the answers in how to run their business on a daily basis, how to set goals, etc. Most entrepreneurs have got into it really somewhat by the seat of their pants, back into it, or even with long planning.
Right.
What's the function of a mastery advisory board for an entrepreneur?
Well, it actually serves a couple of great purposes, and a big one is accountability. As a business owner, you're responsible for holding your employees accountable, for making sure that they're doing the right things. Who holds you as the business owner accountable for doing the things you need to do to grow your business?
But I got into the business so I wouldn't have to have a boss. Why all of a sudden, if I'm into it, I don't want to work for anybody? I've got to have a board that I report to.
Well, the difference is that just because you own the business doesn't mean that you don't work for somebody. Because even if you don't have a board, you've got to understand you're working for your customers. You've got to understand that you're working for your employees. You've got to understand that you're working because you want the control and the independence, not necessarily because you don't have a boss. Many of us have a wife, and that works pretty well for me.
My wife is my partner.
Yes.
Don't you agree with that?
I absolutely do.
Your wife is watching this. Yes, she
yes,
is your
she
partner.
is.
Yes, she is.
She does a good job of holding me accountable. So.
Absolutely.
But we all need it. We're human beings. I get distracted. You get distracted. There's 1,000 things coming at us, and we have a tendency to move towards what demands our time versus what we should be working on.
To me, an advisory board is a group of very, very trusted people who are there to assure that they help you hit your goals. What do you think about that?
I think an advisory board has a bigger role than that.
Okay.
They help you with your goals, they help you hit your goal, but sometimes if your goals that you set aren't the right goals, an advisory board will help you understand why they're not the right goals.
Sorry to interrupt,
Go ahead.
one of the things that gives you the opportunity of saying the things that you do is the research that you have done into organizations who have been successful. Not only are you the founder of the Northeastern Ohio Business Success Conference, but you're also an author.
Yes.
And the book that I am showing is all about the 14 different ways that help, if you will, a business succeed. And one of those ways is
having trusted advisors.
Okay.
When we started the conference, I interviewed every company that put nominations in, and the nomination is based on what they did right and good. And when I talked to these business owners, everyone without exception said that without a board of advisors, without my trusted advisors, without people that I can go to that will be very honest with me, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
What is the makeup of an advisory board?
Well, the makeup can be what you need it to be. It can be as informal as having 2 or 3 friends sitting down with you once a quarter. It could be an informal relationship with 3 or 4 business owners sitting down once a half. In my case, I find that without an outside facilitator, the groups have a tendency to lose focus. They have a tendency to wander a little bit. So for me, an advisory board needs an independent facilitator so that it keeps the people focused on what they're there for. Not necessarily socializing is a part of it, but the reason that you're there is to help each other grow and become successful, hold each other accountable, and help them work through issues that they may not have the experience or the skill sets, or they may even be too close to it to solve.
What's the difference between an advisory board and a formal board of directors?
Well, the biggest difference is the board of directors has what's called fiduciary responsibility for the financial health of the company. The board of directors or the board of advisors does not assume that responsibility.
What do you see as the makeup of an advisory board? What type of expertise should be on that?
I've put together several advisory boards, and that's one of the services that I offer to my clients. And what I do is I put together business owners with other business owners around a structured format that they can go into and feel safe because nobody's going to be there to criticize them and beat them up. It's a place where they can get objective feedback because the only thing that they're there for is your vested success. So they're going to be very straight with you. They don't have anything to gain from it. And the other thing is the accountability aspect again. I had one gentleman who sits on one of my advisory boards come in and says, Ron, I feel like I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous when I come here because I can tell you all the things that's not working. I get great feedback. Nobody criticizes me, and I walk out of here feeling great, and my problems start solving themselves.
Now, you formed a business entity around small business mastery advisory boards.
That's right.
Explain that to me.
Well, based on the book, the research that I've done, successful companies have board of advisors. What I found in the small business market is small business owners, one, don't know how to build a board of advisors. They don't want to pay for a coach, one, because they can't afford it, or two, because most coaches aren't flexible enough to adopt their methodology, so it takes way too much time. And the third thing is, who do they trust? There's so many people out there that call themselves coaches and advisors and consultants. Who's the real deal? And a lot of financial guys, accountants and lawyers, have a tendency to charge way too much money for these small entrepreneurs, and they're not using them because it costs too much.
Okay.
And this is a cost-effective mechanism to solve all those kind of problems.
So a mastery advisory board that is formed, people can join memberships in this and use them as though they were hand-selected advisory boards to their business.
Yes, and what I do is I put groups of small business owners together and have them solve the problems. And there's only 4 simple rules that they've got to live by. One is that there's no selling, because if you're going to a group and you feel like you're going to be sold, you're not going to go. The other thing is you've got to make a year-long commitment, because it takes time to build those relationships, and it takes a few months to make things really happen. The third thing is that you've got to play all out. You've got to agree that you don't know everything, and you're willing to take some advice from other people.
No, wait a minute. You're an entrepreneur and you don't know everything?
You don't know everything. You really
You're right.
don't. You don't.
You know nothing.
Right. You don't. And the last thing is, everything that happens in that board has to be totally confidential. Because if you don't feel like that you can trust somebody, that the confidentiality isn't there, you're not going to be open and ask the hard questions.
And with an advisory board that a person forms on their own or going through one of yours, what can they expect as results?
My experience has been a couple of things. One, they get more control over their business, because lots of times they don't know what to do because they're good in one aspect of their business but maybe not in another, so they get that objective feedback. A lot of it has to do with more productive employees, because they probably are talking about a problem somebody else has already solved, and it shortens the learning curve. And the big thing is peace of mind. You're not in it by yourself anymore.
Boy, it is so valuable. I know that when I bought my first business, part of the requirement of being the new owner was that I formed an advisory board immediately. And to be honest, the results were phenomenal, because I had gentlemen, my senior in anything that I've ever done, on that advisory board who I reported to. I had to voluntarily report to them. And I realized very, very quickly that what they were advising me on was tremendous information that I would not have come up with on my own.
Right. Well, it's interesting, and when I explain the advisory board, I tell people many minds and many experiences are far greater than any single mind or any single experience.
It's called team.
It's called team. That's exactly right.
Ron, someone wants to get a hold of you. Akris is your company. How do they find you?
You can check my website. My website is www.akris.net. They can call me at 330-990-0788, or they can send me an email, ron@akris.net.
I always appreciate talking to you. It's always exciting.
Thank you. It's fun to be here.
Thank you for being here one more time. I'm sure we are going to see you again.
I hope so.
You've learned something today about an advisory board. If you don't have one, go get one. If you're not sure that you know the people that should be on that board, give Ron a call. But your job today is very simple. Go out and make something happen. And thank you for being with us.